Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So, welcome everybody. Okay, just for those of you that could be new for these morning sessions, I want to explain you that we usually divide it in 3 different blocks. The first one is the conceptual framework, and after that, we give the floor to every one of you to have comments, questions, or new contributions on the topics. The topic for today is activities and opportunities of cooperation with chemical regions on the S3P industrial partnerships. I see that Esteban is not yet with us. Okay, yeah, he just has joined us. Welcome, Esteban. Thanks very much for your help in the organization of the session. Sorry, because I have been not able to help you very much, but I am really grateful for your support, okay, and your team. So, as we have 3 different speakers today, I will suggest just to start immediately. And Esteban, will you introduce the topic and the speakers, please?
Okay. Excuse me. Hi, Monica Banca from here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Monica, welcome.
Okay, I think I have some problem with computer connection. And would it be possible if you could share my presentation, and I will let you know where to change the slides?
No problem at all. I can do that.
Okay, great.
So we will give the word now to Esteban for a brief introduction, and after him, I will help you with the presentation. Okay?
Okay, great.
Thank
Good morning.
you.
This session has been carefully prepared since 2-3 weeks because we have a previous session of partnership in the Smart Specialization platform of regions that want to cooperate together. And the thing is that today we have the chemical partnership, and they have so many projects that we decide with Antonio to have a special session for them because it was impossible to fit in a session with all the partnership because they have a lot of things to say. They are very well coordinated by the European Chemical Regions Network. Monica is going to make a brief presentation. And then we will have 3 projects, not 2 as you see there, but we will have as well, we will start with Lombardy region, then we will go to Limburg, and then we will have Maria Dolores from Axio that is going to present as well another project, another very interesting project. The thing, and I'm going to stop because there are many people that want to say many interesting things, is for you to know is regions, leading regions in where chemistry, industrial chemistry is very important in the regions, working together, and you are going to see during the morning 3 different projects that are being implemented and are open for future collaboration. So I think it's very interesting. Thank you, Antonio, for giving us the framework to present. And without any more introduction from my side, I give the word to Monica.
Thank you very much. First of all, good morning, everybody. Because of the very limited time, I will try to present in the nutshell our network and give a quick overview of the chemical partnership on S3 platform. And if you could show the second slide right now. ECRN was established in 2004 on the basis of the Interreg project. The partners regions decided that this area requires deeper cooperation, and formal structures are necessary to prevent their interests. We need to remember that the chemical industry is one of the key European industrial sectors, and 1 in 3 of all industrial employees in Europe are working in this sector. As you can see on the map, ECRN represents 10 regions from 6 countries. And next slide, please. Now I want to go briefly through our main activities. So as you can see, ECRN gives a single voice of the chemical region's interests. We prepare joint position papers on the most crucial topics. For example, in the last weeks, we prepared a common statement on the new chemical strategy for sustainability. ECRN also fosters interregional cooperation. We organize different types of events. We are also engaged as a co-organizer and provide the speakers for the events. And next slide, please. We do our best to be the platform for knowledge and best practices exchange. And the very last example, during this corona crisis, we prepared a special dedicated webpage where we gathered all the best practices from our regions, how to prevent the spreading of virus. ECRN also facilitates the project participation. We provide our members with the most up-to-date information about the calls for proposals. We prepare the analysis, which calls are the most suitable for our members. Right now, we are a partner in the Horizon 2020 project related to the bioeconomy potential. Next slide, please. So this year we are planning several events, but I would like to especially draw your attention to the high-level conference that is scheduled on 26th of October this year in the Committee of the Regions, where we will discuss 3 main topics: energy transition, we focus on hydrogen, bio-based chemical production, and plastics and chemical recycling. And next slide, please. Now I want to smoothly move to the chemical partnership on S3 platform that was formed under the ECRN in 2018. The main goal of the partnership was to assist, support, and facilitate the interregional cooperation that should bring us to bankable projects. And next slide, please. This cooperation shows clearly that there's plenty of ideas, and 4 of them were chosen to work on, and the most advanced 3 of them will be presented today. And this slide, I let myself to borrow from Reconfirm because it shows clearly, the next slide, please. It shows clearly the way the projects have to go through. I think the more about this, all these phases, you will hear from the next speakers. And the next slide, please. Here, I would like to say just a few words about the future of interregional cooperation. Just a couple of days ago, we received that information from that the European Commission, together with Reconfirm, starts the special talks with project leaders to boost project ideas towards investment readiness and prepare them for tough application. And next slide, please. And the last but not least, I want to mention about the new tool that is expected in the next multi-annual financial framework. It is called as Component 5. We still do not know the final shape of this tool, if it will be a part of Interreg or ERDF, but it seems to be a quite promising option to support interregional cooperation. And next slide. So from my side, as an introduction, that's all. I would like to thank you for your time, for your attention, and for this opportunity to take the floor during this webinar. And if you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to contact with our network. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Perfect. So, who will be the next speaker? Sorry, because I made a mistake in the list of participants. Esteban, who will be the next one?
Mattia Dani from Lombardy region.
Okay, that's right.
In order,
thank you.
And to present the BREX is because we have an old version of the agenda, but don't worry, we will manage.
Okay, yeah, sure. Mattia, are you there? Are you there, Mattia? I don't see the name in the list. Hello?
No.
No, if not, we can jump to the next one.
Hello, my name is Paolo Palamiti from Asso Lombarda, and I think that
sorry.
either Mattia, sorry, or Greta or Monica from the BREX projects I mean, Mattia, I think is arriving, but Greta and Monica are also there. So
who?
And somebody of them should present the.
Maybe we could go to Leah Bormans and then come back when Mattia arrives, if you agree.
Mattia, yes. We.
If it is okay, if Mattia doesn't arrive, we can speak later. Is it okay for you?
Okay.
Okay. So now it will be Leah Bormans. Are you there, Leah? Yes, I think that I see that you are there, but with your mic is off.
Yes. Now on.
Perfect.
I try to share my screen now.
No, I need to give you the presentation.
Oh,
right.
okay. Oh, but I had a little. Here we are.
So welcome, Leah.
Thank you so much. Can you make the screen bigger?
We don't see your screen yet, at least myself. So you need. I don't see your screen.
There it is.
Yes, now. That's
okay. Right. There I am. Good morning, everyone.
I will suggest to put it in presentation mode. Yes.
Yes. Here
perfect.
I am.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Morning, Leah.
Morning. Good morning, all. Nice to. I don't see you. Nice to hear you.
Nice to hear you too. Ciao. I hope to see you soon in person somewhere.
Yeah. Me too, Paolo. I'd like to talk about this morning about a new project that we're putting up. We have put up already since a few weeks. That's the project of the Chemical Circular Hub. We're working with the Spire Commission together to the partnership and the roadmap there. And we worked very hard with them also, and also with ECRN, of course, to put these the circularity topic amongst the CO2 abatement emissions topic on the agenda, and it worked. We worked with the region together and the province, and I saw Halma, you're there too. Good morning, my colleague from the province of Limburg, who worked very hard with us on this topic too. And within the Camelot Circular Hub, we talked a lot about the trilateral strategy, the work that we are doing together with the regions of North Rhine-Westphalia, Flanders and Netherlands. And we're chairing that innovation table there to become more sustainable.
There could be somebody with the mic on.
Yeah.
Please, if you are not speaking, put your mic off. I think it could be somebody from the telephone. If you are not speaking, please put your mic off. Okay. Leah, please try to continue. Thank you.
I try to continue. So we made a combination, the trilateral strategy, the electricity topic there, the consortium, the Cracker of the Future, the circular carbon consortium that we have with the 3 regions on new technologies to become more sustainable and compatible with the chemical industry. We put those topics together in the Camelot Circular Hub. And we in Limburg region, we have developed Europe's first large-scale circular hub. And you know, for those who don't know, we are situated in the midst of the largest chemical region of the world, the ARA cluster it's called, between Antwerp, Rotterdam, Ruhr, Rhine area, and the Camelot Circular Hub. We're in the midst of them. And 40% of the European chemical BP is being produced here. So it's a very large chemical cluster. What we want to achieve, we want to address global challenges in the field of materials, It's all about materials too, and energy and feedstock transition, and strengthening our earning. You are in the midst of my and we want to address the challenges in the field of materials, etc., in the Netherlands and for the prosperity of Limburg and for Europe. And how do we do that? We use our innovative chemistry as a great accelerator for the transformation to become sustainable and competitive and to economically social prosperous future. And how do we do that? We work together with the governments, the industry, the knowledge institutions, and we invest together in the Chemical Industrial Park as a large epicenter of the circular chemistry. It's a park with 150 different chemical industries. It's 800 hectares, it's very large. And we have also the combination with the Brighton Schemelot campus as an innovation campus. The connection between the industrial park and the innovation campus is very unique. And we have a lot of SMEs, startups, scale-ups, pilots, and demos there. So the connection with the chemical industry is very important. Also important in the chemical cluster is the human capital agenda as a vehicle that captives and trains talents, and our circular society as enabler towards a healthy and living environment. So the whole combination makes our Chemelot circular hub. And we're in a pole position because we have to come from natural gas and naphtha towards energy of raw materials. And we want to go to electricity as a new energy, plastic residual streams and as raw materials. So a whole new chain, a whole new value chain we're gonna pursue. And we have new revenue models that come out of that. We continue current revenues. We have an expansion revenue model upstream and one downstream. And we are broadening our revenue models and knowledge valorization. So then it's a whole transition of the base chemicals that we are pursuing here. The circularity, we are linear and we go to a circular. We're not going to burn any waste anymore. We're going to bring it back in the circle, and we have the energy transition plus circular raw materials plus circularity that we are aiming for. And we have those building blocks on our premises. It's about CO2 abatement and it's about circularity. Our success factors are: we have a unique innovation ecosystem. We are the most productive chemical cluster in the Netherlands. We have a strategic location in Europe, the ARA cluster. And we have a tradition in transition. We came from the mining, the coal, and the chemical transition towards DSM and other companies. And now we are in a Chemelot circular hub as the next transition. And we're already on our way. We're working on this for years now. So our openings question is, let's invest together in this new technologies, infrastructure, and public welfare for a sustainable future for the region, Netherlands, and meeting the Green Deal targets together. So join us if you please. And I have a little film as...
Van bloemspel tot koffiebeker. En van fruit tot fietsveen. Chemie staat aan de basis van bijna alles in ons dagelijks leven. En zowel ons dagelijks leven als de chemie zijn fundamenteel aan het veranderen.
We beseffen nu dat we als mens nieuwe manieren moeten vinden om de aarde minder te belasten. Klimaatverandering is een no-brainer. Iedereen wil CO2-uitstoot verminderen en de verspreiding van plastic afval stoppen. Nieuwe technologie maakt dit mogelijk. En dat biedt kansen. Sterker nog, als we de stap naar een duurzame wereld echt willen maken, kunnen we dat alleen doen als de chemische industrie het voortouw neemt. Met groene circulaire chemie.
Groen, omdat we de grondstoffen voor onze dagelijkse producten groen kunnen produceren. Daarvoor is wel maximale toegang tot zon- en windenergie nodig. En circulair, omdat we fossiele grondstoffen kunnen vervangen door groene en recyclebare grondstoffen. Dit vraagt om nieuwe methoden en nieuwe chemische processen die we vaak nog moeten uitvinden. En met dat in het achterhoofd, 2030 is al morgen en 2050 overmorgen. Dus dat moet sneller. En dat kan ook.
Dergelijke vernieuwingen in de chemie zijn al volop gaande. Zeker in Limburg. Industriepark Gemmelot, de Brightlands Gemmelot Campus en verschillende kennis- en onderzoeksinstituten laten zien waar een unieke samenwerking toe in staat is. Eén groot laboratorium waar studenten, start-ups, scale-ups, wetenschap en de chemische industrie samenwerken aan groene, circulaire chemie. Het is een plek waar we biomassastromen inzetten om producten te maken. Dus waar vaak de reststroom van het ene bedrijf de grondstof is voor het andere. En waar we nieuwe manieren ontwikkelen om materialen circulair in te zetten. En we gebruiken unieke kennis om deze innovaties op te schalen voor grootschalige industriële toepassingen.
Limburg is niet zomaar een geografische locatie. Hier zit je in het hart van de belangrijkste chemische industrieas van Europa. Door de economische activiteit en dichte bevolking is hier voldoende aanbod aan recyclebare grondstoffen om de vernieuwing in de chemie te ondersteunen.
Yeah, we have stopped seeing the video.
Oh,
Okay, but anyway, I think it's quite clear what
thank
you.
you so much. Yeah.
You're very, very, very welcome. So I think that it's time for Mattia Adani. Mattia, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Sorry for being late.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I will give you the presentation rights, but I don't see what name do you have? Sorry, Mattia.
I had problem to connect, so now I'm connected with my
Casadani.
personal. Yes.
Okay, okay.
It's my personal. The other one didn't work for some reason.
Okay, so now I'm giving you the presentation rights.
Do you have the?
Now we are seeing your presentation.
Do you see it?
Yes, not in the full screen mode, or not yet.
Just problem. How can I do here?
You are in the navigator. I think that you should press F11. F11.
F11.
Now.
Do you see it in full mode?
Yes.
Okay.
So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm presenting a project called BREX, which stands for a Process for Biomasses Recovery and Extraction, which is being developed in partnership with the Milan Polytech Accelerator, PolyHub. So the project is now incubated, is already in the seed stage, and the team has already secured some pre-seed investment. What is our vision? Basically is to manufacture competitive tree-free cellulose in an eco-sustainable way. Nowadays in the world, cellulose is manufactured from trees, as everybody knows, is 300 million tons of trees each year that is being grown, cut, and processed. And the process to extract cellulose is also a polluting process. It uses hard chemicals and is not an easy one. So what is the role of Europe in this process? Nowadays, the worldwide annual production is 300 million tons. We see that most of the production of base material is outside Europe. But Europe, in any case, as for base production, as an important role, mostly located in Northern Europe. Clearly, the Scandinavian countries, but also Germany. Even though even though Europe is not the main producer of base material, base cellulose, it has a pivotal role in the cellulose global trade. As you can see, we are the main exporters and also important importers. So this means that Europe has an important role in the technology. So we tend to sell, let's say, high value products. So even though as the raw material is not manufactured mostly in our countries, we tend to manufacture the value-added products. What are the applications for cellulose? There is a lot of applications. They are worth around 200 billion euros. We go from paperboard, paper, textile, tissue paper, but also materials or additives for other chemical productions, such as microcrystalline cellulose, cellulose acetate, and other products. So what is the idea of BREX? So BREX aims at manufacturing cellulose using spent agri-food biomasses by using reusable eco-sustainable solvents called DES, deep eutectic solvents. So the idea is not to cut trees to produce cellulose, but rather to use other biomasses that we use for basically for food production. So there's a lot of biomass around the world is simply just waste. And this concept was developed by a team of Politecnico di Milano, and we are developing it. So the process itself is pretty simple. We have a solvent that tend to solve everything except the cellulose. So basically, we engineered a process of negative extractions. We take out all the rest, and what it stays at the end is just cellulose, which is purified. And itself, the product, the solvent, is biodegradable, and it can be reused. So now part of our research is for how many times we can reuse the solvents. This is where we are working. Our project has already been validated by several entities as a potential high-value product. So we've received, the team has received a grant of 30,000 euros from Switch to Products, an innovation challenge. We have received a special mention in the circular economy section of Italy's Legambiente, is the environmental protection association. The team has also received a pre-seed investment of 160,000 euro from 360 Capital Partners, and clearly we are part of this important group that we are discussing here. So the idea is that our project has received attention from many people. So if we want to go deeper, so what's our initial target market? As said, Europe is also important in the manufacturing of, let's say, a high added value product based on cellulose, called cellulose derivatives. This is a market that in itself is worth 3.7 billions. Just to give you an example, because myself, I have another company that has been, let's say, is in the sanitizer business. So with this COVID emergency, nothing has happened. And for example, one of the problems that we had is that one of the ingredients for, let's say, sanitizer, carboxymethyl cellulose, it's a cellulose derivatives, has been in very short supplies in Europe, and prices went up 500%, and we needed to buy it from China, and it took 1 to 2 months, and it was it was difficult and challenging, So the point is that even in this, Europe is not self-sufficient. So the idea will also to say make us more independent, no, for such kind of things. So the idea would be at the beginning to target, let's say, the cellulose derivatives market, and then the more traditional tissue paper market, which is worth 60 billion. What is our roadmap? Today we are at laboratory stage, so we've manufactured we are around the 100 grams. We've secured the validation, the grants that we've mentioned to you. So we are moving to the stage of the pilot plant. So the idea is to manufacture batches in the size of 100 kilos, so as to check the economic sustainability out of the lab scale, to understand what the quality of the derivatives we can get in a, let's say, almost industrial environment, and to validate the process. Once we've done that, clearly we will need to move to the post-seed stage and build an industrial plant able to manufacture at the, let's say, the tons level. For this, we will need also, besides financial support, that so far hasn't been, I mean, we've managed to secure financing. Clearly, when we move up to the scale, numbers will change. Also, all the support in the regulatory arena are important, such as how to obtain the rich validation of the product. Because one of the components of this has not been submitted to REACH. So as long as we stay below the 1 ton level limit, there's no problem. When we go above, we need to work that out as well. What are the economics? BREX is a potentially high profitable project, highly profitable if certain KPIs are satisfied. Clearly, it all depends on the number of solvent cycles we can do with solvent and the price of solvent. The price of solvent itself, it's another chicken and egg problem. So far, we can only secure the ingredients for the solvent at the, let's say, pharmaceutical grade, and only in small batches. In itself, the solvent shouldn't cost that much. Clearly, the moment the project will work, the demand for that solvent will be increased manifold, and the price should go down. So now the idea is to understand what could be the, let's say, the long-term cost of the solvent, rather the short-term that we have now. The other is how to optimize the process so as to increase the number of solvent cycles. So here we have a little simulation. So if we can manage to get to 100 solvent cycles with the unit cost of solvent, which is 4 euros per kilo, which we think is possible, then the added value of the process will be around 84%. So highly profitable. So why we are in the network? What is the kind of partnerships that we are seeking? Ideally, we look for partners which work on projects aimed at collecting and stabilizing and pre-treating agri-food waste. So the problem is that agri-food waste is produced in a decentralized environment. It means in the fields of Europe, and then there is moisture in that. So the first thing to do is to collect it from the fields and stabilize it, which mainly means to take out the water on site for 2 reasons. First, to stop the fermentation process. So and secondly, because it is not economically and environmentally efficient just to move tons of water around Europe to the processing plant. Another is to take out all the soluble materials in the biomass, such as sugars, and in any case, water for our solvent is a problem. So if we can strip water from the biomasses, that will be perfect. Stopping the fermentation allows also to have time to process the biomass. So projects working or teams working in this area are what would be like to partner with. The second is to project aim at manufacturing new classes of derivatives or developing new application for derivatives. For example, we were in touch with a team from Spain that they're working on lignin, and cellulose derivatives can be used in many applications, as we said before. So clearly our idea is to put us in the middle of this supply chain that goes from, let's say, the fields of Europe where food is produced to, let's say, chemical sophisticated industry. It's another important aspect for partnership. Clearly, we are at the stage of pre-seed. The project is incubated in an accelerator, so we are already speaking of economics. Clearly, we would like to partner with projects that are, let's say, in the same stage. Ideally, so would be projects already incubated in some of Europe's accelerator, so that we can not only partners between projects, but also partners between startup accelerators. This is important because sometimes teams, especially in the R&D, they work very well in the R&D, but then we need a different language and approach to move, let's say, to the economic development stage. And we think if they are already incubated in some, let's say, accelerator, this could help them and us to partners, so that we can share the same language and the same objectives. So this is basically our project. Why we think it is important for Europe. As said, Europe is an important player in the cellulose market. We already have a leading position in a high added value. We could, if we did this, we could also increase the market share of, let's say, base cellulose, which is now manufactured, let's say, in other countries, especially in Asia and in the US, and also could make us more independent, our supply chains more independent from the rest of the world. So that is what our project is.
Grazie mille, Mattia. Thank you, and we will come back to you soon with the blog for comments and questions. But before, we need to give the word to the last speaker. That is, if I am not mistaken, Maria Dolores Núñez from Acción. Is that right?
Perfect.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome, Maria. In giving you the presentation rights.
Okay, thank you.
We are seeing your screen just now. Not yet in the presentation mode.
Yes. Wait a moment, you can see. Now. Okay. Okay, now. Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to share with you our project related to sustainable chemical and flow chemical hub. But first of all, I would like to give a small idea of the context of chemical industry in Europe.
chemical sector in Europe is one of the largest sector of industry in our country. That's involved 30,000 companies related and worked related to direct related to chemistry, and they move a turnover of more than 500 billions euros. Also, it's important because they invest more than 10 billions of R&D.
Ik ga iemand anders bellen. Hoi, even mijn screen. Ik zit bij een webinar.
Sorry, there is somebody speaking. Sorry, please mute yourself if you are not. I don't know who is it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. And they involve 1.2 million people working directly in this sector. If we take if we take also all the other jobs indirectly related to chemical sector, we can multiply for 3 this figure. And also it's important because 20% of the total chemical production is going to export. At this moment, Europe is the second largest chemical region in the world. This figure is quite. It seems to be quite good, but I have to say that in the last 20 years we have lost share market in
Nou, dat is toch raar. Zij heeft bij ons die schade veroorzaakt.
So,
en wat is dat? Dit is helemaal ongebruikelijk. Dat heb ik nog nooit meegemaakt.
We start to see the importance of this sector and how to do with this. The chemical sector and the chemical production involve a huge quantity of molecules and products and so. But the most important segment produced in Europe is base chemicals, and this base chemicals is also important in other parts of the world, mainly China, of other emerging economies that start to produce also these basic chemicals. So the sector is challenged. Is facing some challenges. The first one is this global competitiveness in a multipolar world. There are new centers for chemical production. The first one is China, but also there is another like India, or even in Africa, they are starting to produce some chemical products, and this is a challenge for European companies. There is a new and disruptive technologies that the sector have to adopt and adapt in order to pace the evolution. The circular economy is a new paradigm that is here, and chemical sector could bring the innovative solution to make the shift to this new circular model. The other challenge is going digital. The digital transformation is coming up in all the phases in our life, and also in industry, and chemical industry has to take the pace to go to digital and make this digital transformation is some of the projects on the processes. And the other is the talent. How to maintain, retain, and attract new talent to this sector that sometimes is seen like an old or an ancient sector, but it's quite. I think it's quite interesting and with a huge future. Well, also chemical is related to EU Green Deal. In fact, chemical process and chemical products are related with all the other value chains in other sectors, from automotive, manufacturing, textile, food, and also health. So the improvement on of this sector could be the improvement of the other sectors. Last month in May, the, the European Commission set up the chemical strategy for sustainability in the framework of EU Green Deal. The main objective of this strategy for chemical for sustainability is to encourage the innovation and help better protect citizens and environmentals for dangerous chemicals. And the main milestone is, on one hand, simplify and strengthen the legal mark, um, starting with ECA, made it easy and understandable for companies, mainly for the PYMEs, for the SMEs. And the other milestone is to bring transparency and quickly reflect the risk and the advances on science to the legal aspect. Also, to promote the the, the production of some chemicals in Europe, as Mattia said before, during this episode of pandemic due to coronavirus, we see that we are not autonomous in some products, and it's necessary to recover this capacity to produce some fundamental elements here in Europe. And the other aspect to this strategy for chemicals is the sustainable transformation of the chemical industry. Also, the chemicals could help us to fit the goals for sustainable development of the United Nations. I don't go in deep in one of them. Later you can have the presentation and you can read it, but I wanted to see that thanks to the chemical processes we can improve our crops. We can have good health, clean water, new and affordable energy, and also improve the climate action, and improve our innovation and our infrastructure. Well, so in this context, in our group of sustainable chemicals, we present the idea of flow chemistry industrial interregional hub. Why? Because flow chemistry is an innovative project. It's an innovative technology, and it made a change of paradigm in production, changing from batch to continuous production. This kind of production could be safety, because the volume are lower than in a batch production, and also increase the flexibility and the velocity and efficiency in the products. One of the other advantage is that that produce less waste, with high rates of purity and energy saving. The flexibility of the flow production could combine batch steps in an existing plant with some flow processes, and in the case of new plants, the small equipment is required. So and also some regulatory agencies are adapting quickly, mainly in the United States, but in Europe we hope also are adapting the regulatory framework to this new technology, and we thought that this technology can facilitate the reindustrialization and relocation of some chemicals processes in Europe. Our proposal is the creation of half of laboratories and demonstration plants to be able to scale up the process and the reactions in continuous flow, and access to new process and productions condition. Our proposal is based in 4 S's and distributed in several geographical nodes. One of the S's is a pilot plan for process development, not necessary GMP. The second is GMP plans as a demonstration and scale up and pre-industrial or industrial, small-scale industrial processes, and to carry out clinical studies or clinical trials. And the X3 is a resource center to manage all the hub, but also to financial aspect, promotion, legal and regulatory framework, accreditation, and also training the workers and technicians for this new in this new technology, and finally a business accelerator. Why this? Because we found that the challenge for this technology, one of these is to facilitate the access to the companies for this chemistry equipment in chemical inflow, and this because we thought this network of pilot plants. The second challenge is to promote the creation of new companies in this field, and not only related to process but also to reactor design, catalysis and biocatalysis or services providers. And it's because that we thought that business accelerator could be a good idea. The challenge 3 is the scale up and move from laboratory to industry, and this the demo plan, and finally a technological advice and legal and regulatory framework, and this is the activity for this resource center. The main potential customer are pharmaceuticals, but also agro, fragrance and flavors, other chemical companies, biotech, focusing mainly in drug discovery, and nanomaterials companies. And well, this is a possible idea of on how these different nodes could be distributed in different regions in Europe to create this interregional hub. At this moment, we are leading the project, joined with some technological research centers and cluster. There are also some interest on the Southern and Hall region, Masovia and Lombardy region, but I have to say that at this moment we are in a standby situation, because we have found some bottleneck. The first one is the funding resources. The other is to involve a more private engagement from finance users or reactor providers, or other kind of private companies. And also it's important to determine the role of the regions, because in our case the region has to play is playing an important role, and probably is necessary to make the shift to the private hands. Well, this is our presentation, and thank you very much for your attention, and we are at your disposal if you have some question at the end of this seminar. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome, Maria. So we have dedicated a long time to the presentation. They were excellent. Thank you, everyone. Now we have not so much time for questions and comments. So very quickly, who is the first? Any comment, question? If not, I have one very clear, because we are focusing our sessions on knowing what is happening now in terms of possible disruptions in your field, and now we are speaking about chemicals. Okay, so are you suffering disruptions now, or do you forecast possible disruptions in the near future, this year, for example, in terms of raw materials or services? Or this question is for everybody.
Hi, Mattia speaking. As of now, we have suffered disruptions with several raw materials, and also especially with packaging materials, so chemicals for packaging, because most of the low-value packaging came from China, and when the supply chains were stopped for certain period, we couldn't find not really, let's say, our product, but where to put where to store it, on packaging. Now, so at least from my point of view, there's no disruption. Clearly, what we have learned that we are not independent in some fields. So what happened is the prices went up 500%, but besides paying more, because in any case, especially for the sanitizer, people were willing to pay more at the end of the day, so that was much of a problem, is that we couldn't find materials. So at the end of the day, it ended up that Europe, if we had another big, let's say, crisis, we risk not being independent. So, and I think this, as a community, is a problem. But as of now, no. I think markets are got back to their normal. Let's say we don't experience any disruption, at least from my point of view at the moment. But we've learned that we might have problems. That's for sure.
When you say packaging, sorry, just to clarify, when you say packaging, you mean the not any concrete raw material for packaging, but the final product for packaging.
I mean the final product, especially trigger and sprayers. Trigger and sprayers, they're packaging materials built from they're, let's say, printed with several, say, maybe 10 components that then they are assembled manually. And clearly, labor cost is an issue. Most of them, they're imported from China, or I got them from India as well. Because my traditional, I used to buy them from Spain, but then there wasn't enough capacity. So basically, Spain couldn't ship me the material. So I had to go to China directly. This took 2 months and a half, and I had to ship it by plane. That cost a fortune. But that's the situation. Now things are getting back to normal. But this is not really linked to the chemical part. On the chemical part, at a certain point, let's say carbomer, which is the short name for that cellulose simply disappears. I don't know whether we experience the same the rest of Europe. Some of hand sanitizer now they're sticky. They're sticky because the carbomer wasn't there. So people started using acrylates, which is more or less the same thing as glue, and that's why things got sticky, you know. So at the end of the day, the basic material that we used in before, there wasn't enough. There wasn't simply enough. And now we can find it. Clearly, if in the fall there's going to be another crisis, we hope not. We're gonna still have problems because there's not enough production in Europe.
Thank you very
from
much.
my point of view, okay, sorry. In our case, there was some lack of materials, starting with alcohol, and in fact, our agency for medical and medical devices authorises the use of bioalcohol for the fabrication of hydrogel to sanitize the hands and so, because there was not enough capacity and there was not enough alcohol in Spain and in the market to fabricate this sanitary and disinfectant materials. On the other hand, there was a lack of materials related to fibers to make coats and other protection materials, and polyethylene and so on, and also another kind of materials related to PCR's test. The it is sulfato de de guaninina. This is a most important reactant to make the PCRs. There was a lack in the world because the main point of fabrication of this basic material is China and also India, and finally we found in Taiwan. But it was really a challenge to find some special raw materials to create these products related to coronavirus challenge.
And do you think if there are a rebound, we could find the same problems, or is there have you implemented any alternative means for taking it, or stock? Have you stocked it, or it could be the same situation in case of a rebound?
Can I take
well,
Please go.
Yes,
no, because also
Mattia, I'll go.
Mattia.
Can I? Yeah, because I had the same problem, and I think the alcohol also has a. I mean, there's possibility to manufacture a lot of alcohol in Europe. For example, in Italy there was shortage, but for example myself, I managed to solve it because there was a lot of alcohol stored for liquor production, and it was simply blocked, not for chemical reason, because the alcohol itself is even better because that's the food grade, but for regulatory matters. So we have a regulation on alcohol in Europe that tend to put a disincentive for let's say for the production of alcoholic beverages to, let's say, raise their price, so to control demand. And clearly this means that there are excise taxes. All that bureaucracy at the end of the day created the shortages. So at the end of the day in Italy, myself and the part of the industry managed to push our authorities. They relaxed the regulation for a few weeks, in fact, and this allowed us to use, let's say, the food grade alcohol, and we managed to solve the problem. And then in the meantime, Eni, which is the say petroleum production, as a plant here in Italy to manufacture ethanol for, let's say, fuel production, and they reconverted it to ethanol for, let's say, sanitizer, which is the same. So I think in that case, what we should do is really think about our regulation, or to run faster if we need to change the regulation, because the problem of alcohol doesn't really depend on technology, on know-how, on raw materials. It went from our regulation. So I think that's because, for example, now I know that people might have the same problem. So people reconverted plants for ethanol for fuel to ethanol for sanitizer, which is not that difficult. And now there's too much alcohol. So the point there is, I think, is more of a policy. So what should be the right European policies to avoid that what has happened, alcohol shortages, shouldn't happen. So, for example, in Italy, we have millions tons of wine, which is there for nothing now, sitting idle, who could be used for alcohol production.
Yeah, The key is to be quick in the reaction, to be ready. Thank you. There is one question from Patrick. Would you like to make it by voice, Patrick, or should I read it? So the question is, what are the ongoing links and partnerships between ECRN and the SUSTEN? Who could answer that question?
Hello, it's Monica from ECRN. Just to give a short answer to this question, we need to remember that SUSHEM represents the chemical industry more on the national level, and ECRN, European Chemical Regions Network, as the name suggests, we represent regions, and we try to focus on the regional problems, regional challenges. We try to facilitate the cooperation between the regions and support also the small and medium enterprises. So our main aim is to focus on the interregional cooperation, and in our work we try to support this cooperation. Briefly, there's a lot of quite similar fields that we are working on, but I think the difference is on the scale and on the level of government we are working on. So ECRN represents the regional authorities and the industry that is located in these regions. And to be honest, most of them are rather small and medium enterprises. I think that in the future, especially when I mentioned about this high-level conference we are going to organize this autumn, we will, of course, invite representatives of SUSHEM, especially the European Chemical Industry Council, which is one of the founding institutions of SUSHEM, and we'll try to hear their voice and to try to find some kind of field for cooperation. So that's the main difference between ECRN and SUSHEM, but still both of us try to support the chemical industry in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, and I see that Patrick is thanking you also from the chat. Okay, so it's a pity because we should close. I think that there could be a lot of questions still open. Is there any last before closing?
Yes, Antonio. I'd like to make a very quick question to Leah. I think it was very interesting her presentation about the Camelot Circular Hub. How do you promote open innovation in your Circular Hub, Leah? It's very interesting, the presentation.
Sorry, the last sentence I didn't hear so well. So could you repeat the last sentence?
How do you promote open innovation between the stakeholders of your Circular Hub?
How we promote the innovation. Yeah, the open innovation. We connect all the stakeholders are connected to this circular hub. So we talk a lot about with the teams, different teams on our chemical site. They are connected in the Camelot board. They know each other, the large companies, and the smaller companies, the startups and scale-ups, etc. We combine them by getting them into a community. We have a community board, and we have research and institutions like Marnix van Gurp is here, like the Brightlands Material Center. They have a whole community of people around them that are working together with them. We have Bright Site, process technology upgrading institute. We have different institutes. I think we have a couple of 15 that are working with their own communities, and we combine those communities. Dus maybe Marnix, you're there too. You can answer how you work within Brighton's Chemical Materials Center. Are you there?
No. I don't work with that. It was only a curiosity about your experience. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. I think it's time to close. Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you, Esteban, for helping us to organize. Really, organize yourself. This session it has been very, very interesting, and we need to continue with this kind of collaboration between Eurada and ourselves. So I am sure that we will have new opportunities to meet and to know more about your partnerships. Thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you soon again. Tomorrow we are going to speak about the cybersecurity, and you are invited to join in us if you want. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good day.